of the chains called the Earth chain, the Venus chain, and the Mercurian chain, but this triangle entirely concerns the centers of the planetary logos of our scheme. A systemic formation of great importance in the next round should be pointed out, which will bring three schemes. The Earth scheme, Mars, Mercury, into such a position in relation to each other that the following results will eventuate. 1. A systemic triangle will be formed. 2. Logoic kundalini will circulate freely between these 3 points. 3. A certain great logoic center will be vitalized, and the attention of logoic kundalini will pass from the present triangle in process of forming, the Earth, Venus, and a scheme whose name it is advisable to withhold, to the other. 4. An entirely new group of human beings will sweep into incarnation in our Earth scheme. 3/5 of the present humanity, being on the probationary path, or the path of initiation, at that time, will have their center of consciousness definitely on the mental plane, whilst 2/5 will remain focused on the astral. These 2/5 will pass into temporary pralaya, preparatory to their transference to another scheme, as the Earth scheme will no longer provide for them an adequate place of nurture. 5. Entities will come in from Mars to the Earth scheme, and will there find their necessary field of endeavor. 6. Mercurian life will begin to synthesize, and to be transferred to its synthesizing planet. In the case of Mercury, the synthesizing planet is not Saturn, but one of the other 2 higher major centers. 7. The Judgment Day, in the 5th round, or the point of attainment of our heavenly man, will see a period of planetary strife on mental evils, which will cause the present world unrest to seem as nothing. As pointed out earlier, this present struggle has been to test the ability of the entities within the present human forms, to appreciate their mental forces, and through the power of mind, to transcend feeling, or pain. The struggle in the 5th round will be between higher and lower mind, and the battleground will be the causal body. 140. The causal body. This influence or force, or result, or whatever it may be called, of the antecedent actions of man, forms as it were a seed, from which germinates the plant, yielding good or bad fruit, to be eaten by him during his subsequent existence. Vishnu Purana, XIX, 5. The seed is technically called the Jnana-sarira, the causal body, Pingala Upanishad, as it is the cause of man's enjoyment or suffering. This Jnana-sarira is composed of the 5th kosa, Anandamaya, of man, and adheres to the soul so long as the soul remains enveloped in the gross, or subtle body, Sthula or Sukshma-sarira, and vanishes entirely, when the soul extricates itself from the trammels of the said 2 bodies. For then, the soul attains its primeval purity, and burns up as it were every trace of its combination with the body, including this causal body, Jnana-sarira. This happens when the soul is prepared for final emancipation, moksha. Till then, of course, the Jnana-sarira, the seed, the result of prior actions, remains effective, and asserts a strong controlling influence over man's actions. The Theosophist, Vol. VII, p. 59. An ordinary person will by vasana, aroma or smell, repeat, in Jagra, the waking state, the old story dreamed in a dream that has passed away. So also will he, who, investigating the true nature of the self has attained to real knowledge, express himself and still will never become Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is the reflection of Atma in the Jnana-sarira, which is the vehicle of ignorance. He who has become a celestial being will nevertheless be called man till the causal body that has already died, by the birth of prajna, or wisdom, is completely consumed by the predominant fire of wisdom. Kaivalyanavamita, Part I, 31. By the raised fire of true wisdom the body of avidya, i.e. the causal body, will be reduced to ashes. Kaivalyanavamita, Partai, 98. Copied from the Theosophist, Vol. Vi.38. The struggle now being waged on the planet is between a few egos, or the leaders of the many races who are necessarily in place and position owing to their egoic polarization, and many personalities, who are swept into the vortex through group association. It is necessarily terrific, and forces the destruction of the form. The struggle in the fifth round, being on mental levels, will be between egos and egoic groups, each working consciously, and with intellectual application, to bring about certain group results. It will result in the triumph, the ultimate triumph, of spirit over matter, in the driving out of certain groups as yet unable to shake themselves free from the trammels of matter, and who prefer captivity to the life of the spirit. It will mark the beginning of the obscuration of our scheme, and the gradual passing into pralaya, during the remaining 2.5 rounds of our entire 7 chains. It is an interesting occult fact that our Earth should now be in her 5th round, and paralleling the Venusian scheme, but the moon chain of our scheme saw a period of temporary retardation of the evolutionary process of our heavenly man. It resulted in a temporary slowing down of his activities, and caused lost time, if such an expression might reverently be permitted. The lords of the dark face, or the inherent forces of matter for a time achieved success, and only the 5th round of our chain will see their ultimate defeat. The Venusian scheme also had its battleground, but the planetary logos of that scheme overcame the antagonistic forces, triumphed over material forms, and was consequently in a position when the right time came to apply the needed stimulation or an increased fiery vibration to our Earth scheme. The fact that outside aid was called in during the third root race of this chain, and that the evolution of Minas brought about the individualization, in physical form, of the avatar, needs to be pondered on. The divine Manasaputra, the Lord of the world, took form himself through the driving impulse of Minas, inherent in his nature, and in some mysterious way this was aided by another heavenly man of another scheme. His cooperation was required. Summation. We have been studying the origin of Minas, and we saw first, that it is the active will, intelligently applied, of an entity, and then that this active intelligent will affects all lesser lives in cyclic evolution within the body of that particular actively willing existence. This is true of all beings from the logos downwards. Perhaps in summing up it might be expressed thus. The originating source of Manasic activity in the solar system is that great cosmic entity who embodies our solar logos as a center in his body along with 6 other solar logoi, who are, in their totality, his 7 centers. The originating source of Manasic activity in the planetary schemes is that cosmic entity we call the solar logos. He is the active, directing intelligence who is working with definite purpose through his 7 centers. The originating source of the Manasic principle in the planetary scheme is that lesser cosmic entity, whom we call a planetary logos. He works through his 7 chains, as does the logos through his 7 planetary centers. It is interesting here to note that when the solar logos is being manasically impelled to work out some purpose of his greater source, the one about whom not may be said, he may cause a vivification in one or other of his centers according to the purpose in view. This occurred in the forming of the triangle of which Earth and Venus are 2 points, and, affecting the heavenly men of these 2 schemes, stimulated them to take initiation, and led the planetary logos of our scheme, to form a lesser triangle within his sphere of activity, which triangle eventuated in his taking a lesser initiation, and in the Manasic impregnation of animal man. Thus were swept into objective activity that group of monads who go to the composition of a particular center. Similarly, and microcosmically, a human being is the Manasic incentive and the origin of active, intelligent will to all the cells within his threefold body, astral, mental and physical. His is the directing intelligence, and His the source of all action and endeavor within His periphery, and, like His greater corresponding spheres, a solar logos, and a planetary logos, He works through 7 centers. Thus we have traced the origin of Minas, as far as it is possible to do at this time. The mystery of Minas is hidden in existence itself, and holds the secret of life and conceals and veils those entities whose outstanding quality and characteristic it is. To the life of that little entity we call an atom in the physical body of a man, the thinker in the causal body, his greater directing intelligence, is as obscure and unknown as the logos is to the thinker, man, himself. The analogy is nevertheless accurate. 141 forms. The Atharva Veda, as the summation, instructs us in the principles, which equally underlie the methods of the world process, and of the atom process, a world in miniature. Whether world process or atom process depends on the speaker, and his point of view. As every mantra of this Veda reflects the operations of the world process, so does it reveal to us cognition within cognition, memory within memory, power within power, world within world, fact within fact, action within action, duty within duty, sin within sin, individuality within individuality, ascending and descending from every point in space, endlessly, ceaselessly. Atoms make up molecules, molecules compounds, compounds cells, cells tissues, tissues organs, organs bodies, bodies communities. Communities classes and races. Classes and races kingdoms. Kingdoms of many grades and varied linkings make up a planet, planets make up a solar system, solar systems a vaster system, and so on, unending. Nowhere is found simplicity indivisible. Nowhere complexity final. All is relative. From Pranavavada, pp. 334-335.39 Man's physical body, for instance, considering it as a corporate whole, composed of many lesser lives, suffers or prospers as its directing intelligence acts with wisdom, love or otherwise. The monastic principle actuates all that occurs within the man's aura, and he suffers, or he makes progress, according to the application of that principle. So, reverently may the same be said of the body of the solar logos, a system, and so may it be said of the planetary logos, and his scheme.